Alright, welcome to episode 2 of my Ultimate Slayer series. Today we're going to cover the Kharidian Desert collection log, and this is the one log that I did fully complete before I ever started making YouTube videos. So I don't have any clips or drop reactions, however I do have one screenshot from when I actually completed the log back in 2021. I think it's a little bit unfortunate that that's all I have, but this video is instead going to focus on the most efficient ways to kill all of the relevant Slayer creatures to complete this log. So to complete the desert log, there are 6 monsters to master. Camel warriors, who drop 2 out of the 13 drops, being the camel staff and the raptor key piece. We have soul devourers, who drop 4 out of the 13 drops in the corrupted gem, the key to the crossing, the Khopesh of the Kharidian, and the vital spark. We'll also have to kill a lot of ripper demons, who also drop 4 out of 13 of the collection log drops in the main hand and the offhand ripper claws, the raptor key piece, and the very rare nipper demon pet. Next up, we'll have to kill a lot of profane scabberites, who drop 1 drop for the log, being the spectral lens. We'll look at desert strikeworms, who also drop 1 drop, the focus sight. And the last drop on the log is the dragon chain body, which is technically dropped from dust devils, but the most efficient way to get that is unarguably by killing the Calphite queen. It would be a 1 in 32,000 from dust devils, or a 1 in 128 from Calphite queen. So now that we know which monsters we'll be killing, let's look at the methods of killing them, and let's start off by looking at efficient camel warriors. You will want to kill these on task only, as the staff is 5 times more common on task at about 1 in 2,000 versus 1 in 10,000, and the raptor key piece can only be obtained on task as well. So there are 3 good methods of killing camels: a super sweaty way, killing them normally, and a hilariously AFK way. The super sweaty way wasn't especially consistent from the small bit of testing that I did, and it really doesn't seem worth it at all. But effectively the technique would be to use a player-owned dungeon with 3 to 4 camel warriors, use berserk at war's retreat, and improvise around the dragon longsword special attack in your EOF. Then you would teleport out and repeat every time that your berserk runs out. The idea is that by doing this you would be able to completely skip the mirage phase on every camel, but for me it really didn't feel that consistent without stalling another ability on top of the dragon long, so I'm not going to recommend this. Not to mention, it's really hard to find someone who has camels in their player-owned dungeon, and it's also very time consuming to get camels for your own player-owned dungeon. Instead, what I'm going to recommend is either to suck it up and kill them normally, or use the cheese AFK method. I personally never had a big problem killing these normally. They're maybe a little bit more annoying and a slower version of Glaciors, where the camel is going to split itself into 3 mirages, and you'll have to kill those before finishing off the original camel. But using melee and a scrimshaw of vampirism, I've always found it quite easy to sustain myself throughout the Slayer task. If you are going to do this method, the recommended order on killing the mirages would be to do the shadow one first, followed by the blood, and finishing it off with the smoke. But if it's ever convenient to AoE any of the mirages, I would just do that and not really concern myself with the order too much. With strong melee gear, killing these creatures is really not as bad as people make it out to be. If anything, the only annoying part is the slow animations during the mirage transition. Now here's the hilariously AFK method that I bet most people are going to do. You'll only get about 60 kills an hour doing this, so it's not amazing, but it's honestly not the least efficient thing you can be doing either. For this setup, bring your best melee gear with Cinderbanes, weapon poison, and ideally a Book of Death equipped. Bring a cannon and some kind of stackable skilling supplies, something like fletching supplies or protein items and portables. It sounds pretty weird for a Slayer method, but trust me on this one. Place your portables down on this little agility island in between the main desert and the Camel Island. Jump onto the Camel Island and place your cannon down. Then jump back to the middle island and AFK. Your cannon is going to do 100% of the work killing the camels, and you're now free to do some skilling. This is really stupid, and I have mixed feelings about this method, but it exists, and honestly it's reasonably efficient all things considered. You can make some good skilling gains while getting some combat and Slayer XP, as well as potentially making some log progress. Next up, let's look at Ripper Demons. You will also ideally want to kill Ripper Demons on task, as the Raptor key is task only, and both main and offhand claws are 5 times more common on task. When you do get these 3 drops, you can grind for the pet off task, but since you're guaranteed an elite spawn with every task, it can be worth doing the hunt on task as well. I'll show you 2 methods to kill Rippers. A more active method that I did for most of my kills, and a newer semi-AFK method with Necromancy. So for the active method, I kill Rippers in the actual Ripper cave in Al-Kharid. I use melee with a Vamp Scrim and the Aggression Sigil ability. I'll go around the room killing 1 Ripper at a time, just as normal, and whenever I would have good adrenaline and my aggression ability is off of cooldown, I'll use Devotion, activate the aggression ability, which is going to bring all of the demons in the room next to my character, at which point I can use some powerful AoE abilities. Things like Hurricane, Quake, Lang Spec, Dragon Halberd, or Dragon Two-Hand EOF. Anything I can think of to kill the demons within the duration of my devotion. Since I have devotion up, I'll take 0 damage, and in fact I'll end up healing thanks to the Vamp Scrim. And since I kill them quickly, I'm also never at risk of dying to their jump attack. Then I can go back around the room, killing them one at a time until my aggression sigil is back off of cooldown. I really enjoyed this method when I first went for 200 million Slayer XP, and I still think it holds up really nicely today. The semi-AFK method uses necromancy with a tank top and tanked legs, as well as Crypt Bloom Helm and Crypt Bloom Boots. It's a similar logic to the High Enrage Archglacier setup. This mismatch of gear lets you take advantage from passive dodge chance from the Necromancy armor, as well as the strong melee damage reduction from the Crypt Bloom paired with Animate Dead. So here's a picture of the preset used for this method. Other notable items are the Blood Amulet of Fury to upkeep hit points. You can also pair that with Powders of Protection, which can increase your Protection Prayer's effectiveness by 10%. I have a Wen Book for good AoE damage, and a Ring of Death that gives you extra adrenaline for every Ripper demon that you kill, allowing your Revo bar to spam those spectral scythes even more consistently. So the method is going to be quite simple. Go to the Ripper demons located in the wilderness, and you want to do them in the wilderness because you'll have the passive buff from the Infernal Puzzle Box. That's going to give you 14% damage reduction, as well as allow you to deal 9% additional damage to the Ripper demons. One easy way to get there is to use the wilderness sword teleport to the herb patch, and then run north and east along the lava patches until you get to the demons. Place a cannon down near these lava bubble patches, then stand in between the 2 biggest pools of lava. All of the Rippers are going to aggro onto you, and you can semi-AFK from here on out. You can manually make use of Invoke Death, Demon Slayer Sigil, or Threads of Fate to speed up kills per hour. You will also want to pay a little bit of attention to your Hellhound's HP and place down Prisms of Restoration as needed. Personally, I didn't like this method as much. Visually, it was harder for me to see everything that's going on screen, and perhaps a bit ironically, I found that this AFK method actually has a bit more for me to track mentally versus the melee method. In the melee method, all I'm really keeping track of is devotion and aggression sigil. With this necromancy method, I'm thinking about my Hellhound's HP, my Animate Dead timer, my adrenaline, my Threads of Fate, my Invoke Deaths, etc. So while it is clearly a very effective method, and many players are going to like killing Ripper demons like this, it just wasn't for me. Personally, something about it feels a bit like an oxymoron. Having AFK and Ripper demons in the same sentence seems a bit funny. But again, that's just me. This is a very effective method for killing Ripper demons and completing their portion of the collection log. The next monster we'll look at are the Profaned Scabberites. As it relates to Ultimate Slayer, we're not going to be killing the elite versions. Even though they will give you more GP per hour in common drops, the Spectral Lens has the same drop rate from both elite and normal Scabberites. Since all we're interested in is the log progress for Ultimate Slayer, let's prioritize getting more kills an hour killing the normal ones that have 45,000 HP versus the elite ones that have 66,000 HP. So here's the gear setup and the Revo bar I used to kill these. With this setup, this method won't feel that much different than AFKing something like Abyssal Demons. So really nice and really simple. I'll use the Slayer Cave to teleport to Simona, then I'll just go north out of the town and follow the edges of this mountain dune until I see the tunnel. Once I enter the tunnel, I'll go all the way down southwest across this little bridge, then I'll set up my cannon and start AFKing. And that's really all there is to it. You can get about 850 kills an hour doing this, and with an on-task drop rate of 1 in 512, this should be a reasonably quick log slot to knock out. Corrupted Creatures and Soul Devourers are the 4th monster we'll need to kill a lot of to complete this log. I think everyone really enjoys these monsters, myself included. There's a good variety of monsters and drop tables as you go up in level, and save for the highest 2 tiers of Soul Devourers, they're all basically completely AFK. So I've typically always preferred to either kill Corrupted Scorpions for the Corrupted Creature tasks, or the Salawa and Feline Ox for the Soul Devourer tasks. I'll have a picture of a good Revo bar for melee as well as one for necromancy here, but honestly you can't really go wrong with either style. So once you get this task, just sit back, relax, and enjoy some nice AFK. The final creature we'll look at to complete the desert log are the Desert Strikeworms. You actually don't need to kill them on task anymore to get the focus sight drop for the log, though it's definitely still faster if you were on a task. That said, the method is going to be super simple. I use a melee 2-handed weapon, and you can basically one-shot these guys all of the time. Because there's a good amount of delay with the animation, a lot of times you'll end up doing a 2-handed auto attack as well as an ability, so that'll often kill them. If not, 1 to 2 abilities is going to be more than enough to kill these Strikeworms. And when you do have enough adrenaline to use Berserk, you can basically consistently one-shot these guys. So nothing too fancy going on here. It's going to be another 1 in 512 drop rate to get the focus sight for the log. So there you have it. For completing all drops in the desert area, I've got myself the Devourer title. I am a little bit bummed that I didn't have more screenshots or any clips of myself actually getting these drops, but like I said in the beginning, this was a log that I'd completed quite a few years ago, before I ever started YouTube. So I hope that the strategies that I showed in this video will be useful for anyone hunting this log, and I also hope everyone going for this will get lucky on the Camel staff and the Ripper pet. Before I do wrap up the video, I'll just ask that you consider subscribing to my channel to follow my Ultimate Slayer journey. I'll be making one video for every single collection log. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.